we've got the lye mixture all dissolved, and I took a reading on the temperature gauge, and I also took a reading on the temperature gauge of the oils. You want to have them within 25 degrees of one another. And before, when I used to do it without just the frozen milk, I used to have to wait for them to be within that temperature range, but now I don't have to do that because they came out within 20 degrees of one another, so 20 or 25. So now I'm going to mix the lye, and a lot of people tell you to pour the oils into the lye because of the splash factor, but I use a really tall pot, and I also have it down in the sink so it's not very close to me at all. I've got all my protective gear on, and I stand back when I do it. So I'm just going to pour it in. Everybody stand back. Just pour it in. And one thing I wanted to mention is that when you're doing soap, it's good to have white vinegar out on the counter and handy because it does neutralize the lye. If you happen to splash it on anywhere on your skin, get this out right away. And that helps to neutralize it and keep it from burning. Okay, so this is the part where we're going to use our little hand mixer. And this is the process of getting your soap to trace. And I've seen a lot of different things on this on the internet, but you can pretty much use any kind of a home one. What I do is I've got one designated for the soap, so I don't use this on my food, obviously. Same with the pot. I never use that for any food processes, although you're making soap, so it would be clean afterwards. I just kind of like the idea of having it designated. So when you do this, you want to make sure you don't lift the mixer out while it's on because it will fly all over the place. So you need to be very careful with that. Just keep it down in the pot. Make sure your finger's off of it when you lift it out. So here's what we're going to go to the mixing process. So I keep it low on the bottom of the pot. And I will tell you that back in the day, they used to stir it by hand to get it to trace, and it took a long, long time. Thank goodness these have come along because this is really saved on this process. It's really shortened the process. Okay, I'm going to give my thumb a little rest and check it. What you're trying to do is get the soap, the lye mixture, and the oils so that they are mixed and they will not separate again. And they call it trace, and there's a lot of different ways to check it. Some people do a thick trace, or from what my experience has been, you don't really have to do a thick trace. I used to do it thick and then tried to check it and make sure it looked like those little trails on the top and everything. But I quit doing that because it worked without. So I'm not quite where I want to be. So I'm just going to go do it again. Do you have it on? Okay, you can see what it looks like now. Some people wait, like I said, they wait and they drip it on the top and make sure there's a trail and stuff, but this is a light trace, and that's pretty much all you need to do for your cold or your hot process soaps. And at this point, I'm going to leave the mixer in here because we're going to add our fragrance, which is essential oil, and I've already measured it out, but I will show you what I put it in. I've got a glass. This is a glass measuring cup because I've ruined all my plastic ones, so I do suggest you buy one of these. And normally you put your essential oils in, or fragrance oil if you like, at this point and mix it. And then you can also do your colorings. We're not going to color this one, but you can do that. I mix them separately. I mix this first and then I'll do the coloring. Looks good. Okay. Now, probably take me over to that area. It's going to turn out kind of a... Alright, now we're getting ready to put it into our molds. This mold here, I got a really nice guy on Etsy sold me this set, and I have two molds. These are 5-pound molds, and then I have a really cool cutter, and you can just slide your loaf down. These are called loaf molds, and he did it with these dowel rods so that, and they're hinged so they come apart, because I had a lot of trouble trying to get a liner in there. And this way, I mean, you can see it's not real pretty, but it works really good, and you can get the soap out of there real easy. And I'm going to put some of the Pringles can too. This makes a really good round mold, and they kind of have a coating in there, so it's already kind of lined for you. You don't have to worry about that. And when you're done, you can just kind of peel it off, and so it doesn't disturb your soap. So I'm going to pour it into both these molds here in just a second. Also, there's all kinds of plastic molds you can buy on the internet or in your craft stores, but I found these, and they work really good. They're the silicone molds that you can get for baking. And of course, you know, I designate mine just for soaps, but these are kind of cool heart-shaped ones you can do for different times of the year. And I've got round ones too. I just didn't bring them out here, but you can use these, and then they pop out real easy when you're done. This is really the end of the process for cold process soap. You pour it in your molds, and you leave it at least overnight, at least 24 hours, sometimes up to 48, depending upon the oil mixture that you have. You want it to be nice and firm, and yet easy to slice. If you wait too long, it's harder to slice, and so you want to be able to unmold it at that point, and then when you unmold it, you slice it up, and then you put it into a place where you can let it dry and cure. And that's going to be at least 3. Most people suggest 4 weeks. The longer you let it cure, the drier the soap is, and the longer it will last. At this point, if you wanted to do a hot process soap, you can just put this right on the stove. I've done it on the stove. I've done it in the oven. I've done it in a crock pot, and I prefer the stove. It's just easier for me to go and check it. I don't have to keep opening the oven. And what you do is you just put it on the stove, and then you stir it. Come back and stir it, check it. There's a lot of good tutorials online that show you how to do that. My only problem was trying to figure out when to stop, and the key that I found to it was it'll start sticking on the side, and you can see it starts looking like soap when you're cooking it. So what I would do is take a little bit of it and then let it cool just a tad, and go to the sink and put water on it and just rub it, in your gloves, of course. Rub it, and when you could start seeing soap suds, then you knew it was ready. So that was the key that I would use. And like I said, you can just pour it in your molds just like you do the cold process, and unmold it the next day and slice it. You could leave it for a week and let it dry, or you can start using it right away. And if you have any questions, you can always get a hold of us on the blog, or just want to say happy soaping to you.